Hi. So I'm going to be placing this a couple places. My channel on YouTube, probably a couple other places beside that. Also, obviously, Facebook. Today, I wanted to touch on a really concerning situation that happened to me with a Nine News anchor that works in the morning. Her name is Natasha Verma, last name Verma. So this morning I was watching the newscast, and I typically don't watch local news because I've noticed that there are inadequacies here in Colorado with the lack of representation of us as Black people, and those Black people that are newscasters typically have had to tailor their image to be able to to be more palatable to a wider society. And I prefer CNN because I see Black people there. I see people of many different races, and there are more minorities than there are majorities actually on their stations there. And I really like that. It says a lot to me about a true level of diversity when there are many, many different types of people, and that you have multiple broadcasters that are Black and that they haven't watered down their Blackness. If anything, that they are very genuinely them. And that I value. That I value seeing people that look like me and like my family when I turn on the television and watch my news stations. So that's why I usually don't go to Nine News. But this morning I happened to be there, and I thought, well, a lot's been going on, and there's been that, we just had the election, so I was trying to get an update. And while I was watching, this Natasha Verma said that her exact words was, "This is the way you get your voice heard," when she was speaking about voting. And I don't agree. So I left her an email, or I left a general email in the Nine News box. The email said, "I really don't appreciate the comment this morning when your newscaster said, quote, 'This is the way you get your voice heard,' when talking about voting. I feel the comment was a backhanded way to say that protesters are wrong for using their voice that way. It's already bad enough that the news stations have token Blacks as any newscasters, and none of them look like real Black people. All they have is the obligatory token Black with the obligatory wig or weave, and are copies of white ideals of beauty. Until Colorado faces its race issues, honestly, nothing will change. I'm extremely disappointed. I'm going back to watching CNN like I normally do so I can see people who look like me and my family." Her response, I didn't expect a response, but I did get a response from the newscaster herself. She said, "Sorry you feel that way, but that's not at all what I meant. I literally said I meant what I said verbatim. Voting is the way you make your voice heard." My response, I disagree because Black people vote and it does nothing. We are still killed in the streets and afraid of white authority figures. You can also get your voice heard by protesting and more. To say it is the way to get your voice heard says that it is the best way, or that is what works best, and if that was the case, we wouldn't be where we are. And my heard was hers because I was on my phone. Please, can I just say autocorrect is wrong for that? They're just wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. Don't text, don't email on your phone. It's just not a good, smart idea. So, um, her response at that point was, "Go ahead and peacefully protest," because she assumed I protest. "But that won't elect someone into office. Voting will. How about you protest and vote? Now that will lead to change. I'm a minority too, Indian American. We're all in this together." See, Natasha, that we're all in this together. You just wipe all people, all lives matter to me, okay? Because your Indian American has nothing to do with my Black pain. You being Indian American is nothing like being a Black American. Nothing like it. I'm sorry. I don't see people on the news every day almost who are dead that are Indian American because some cop killed them. or are put in jail because they were the wrong person, who are on death row, and I mean, let's keep on going. So anyway, so my response was this. My idea of change is prayer, voting, having tough conversations, and being a light in a dark world. My intention was to point out that you were being insensitive. The problem is you still are. Let me take my glasses off so you can see my face. The problem is you still are. My intention was to point out that you were being insensitive. The problem is you still are. You, young lady, will never have to have the talk with your children unless you have children with a fully Black man, and worry that they will come home every day of their life because the country they live in has kidnapped their ancestors, raped and enslaved their ancestors, and have never seen them as anything other than cattle to be slaughtered. Your people, if you are a Native American and not originating from India, at least had the government acknowledge the slaughter of your people and were given a protective status, land, and or a monthly check. We can't even get the government to stop making us legal slaves by putting us in prisons. Stop taking our freedom to keep police quotas. Stop choking, shooting, hanging, raping, and marginalizing us. Stop giving better educational opportunities to others and then telling us it's because they're gifted and we're not. Stop telling us our hair isn't pretty. Stop saying our noses and our skin isn't beautiful. Must I go on? As I said earlier, you are on the air. And you have no Black newscasters that look like they love their Blackness. But instead, if there are any, they are watered down. There are the watered down those that make them beautifully, they've watered down those things that make them beautifully Black and made them more palatable to white people just so that they could get the chance. Your passion and your strength will never make you be seen as an angry Black woman. No, you don't even come close to me or to remotely understanding my struggle or that of my children. We are not in this together. Until you do something to change and put your money where your mouth is, you have a completely different existence and story until you have Black babies or actually do something to help change this. Then no, you are not in this with me. You do not know what it is like to be called a nigger as you walk down the hallway in school because you are a foster child in a predominantly white school. Or worry about bleeding out after you have a child, after you've given birth, because the numbers of Black women dying after childbirth are terrifying, but the numbers in any other racial category have gone down. You basically, all lives mattered me. Wow, SMH. I've done nothing. I'm done. Nothing I say is going to deal with your intentional ignorance until you humble yourself and realize you don't have all the answers and are willing to listen. You shouldn't ever try responding to another email like this one. I'm most definitely blogging this encounter and making sure that others know how unimportant their struggle is to you and your station. This is the news stations in Colorado. This is the general idea of what Colorado has. That this isn't important, that this isn't serious, that they're like us if they're minorities, that they get it. And if you say too much about it, then you're a complainer and somehow you brought it onto yourself or you took part in it or something. There's no real seriousness taken in the state, not about this. I'm really disappointed. Sort of sad. I realize that I really am discouraged to think that this will ever change. To know that I will still have to have the talk with my son. is a bummer. I hope you enjoyed my little rant. Bye.